All right. Welcome in. Welcome into your favorite show, Views from the Stands. I'm your host, Stevie B. Steve Brennan, and I, of course, you know who I got with me, my two partners. We got the GM, G Mike. How are you feeling, my man?
Yo, feeling good, feeling good.
There we go. I love the energy already, man. Always come with that fresh energy. And my man down there looking like a GM of a wrestling match and a damn team down there. We got BC, Brandon in the building. How you doing, brother?
Dude, I'm good, man. I'm tired, baby. We wilding out. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers belt. We got some great stuff to cover today. Already spoiling it for the audience at home, but y'all know how it is. Stevie B, what we got on the topics today?
That's Coach BC for you.
We are going to continue our breakdown of the divisions. Today we're hitting the NFC South. We're about halfway through this real quick, so if you guys want to check out some of the other videos, we're breaking a lot of the other stuff down. It's been going really great. We're also going to introduce a brand new segment here. We're going to call it the views for the top 5 views. And basically what we're going to do is have a little crowd interaction with this one. So we'll explain a little bit more, but that's a new segment we got working out here. And of course, we got some news coming out in the world of sports. It's a very football heavy show. So before we get to all that, G-Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell them about a little self-promotions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, if you're into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel where we charge $5 a month to get you from anywhere from $10 to $50 to $100 winning daily. So if you're into that, look at this link below, put it on your web browser, or if not, hit me up on one of my socials that you'll see on the screen. Send me a DM and we'll get you started.
I love it, man. I love it. And we also got to remember down there, Brandon Media for any of your photography, videography, and memories down there. Brandon, why don't you give us a little bit more explanation on this?
I mean, shoot, it's my wife and I's small business. We do weddings, we do engagements, photo shoots. We do a few other things as well. It's branddes.media. We got photography and videography. Hit us up on that website for the packages. We got ranging from, just some kind of the, few hours worth of wedding coverage to, like, if you got like 6, 7, 8 hours, you want the whole shebang, we got you covered. We're making memories that last a lifetime.
Shebanging it all. I love it, man. Hey, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up as far as the promotions goes. If anybody out there is looking for some to get some promotions on the show, just let us know. We are always willing and able. So now that we got that out the way, let's go ahead and get some sports. You boys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. We got Brandon Aiyuk officially requesting a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. Aiyuk is in the final year of his rookie contract, and he has said he either wants to get paid or trade me. According to sources, of course. And that one source might have possibly been TikTok. If you've seen that video out there of him talking to his boy out there, Jalen Daniels, telling him they don't want me back. So he's playing a little mind tricks out there. And the 49ers have rebutted by publicly saying, we're not doing anything. So they want to keep him, and they have no interest in trading him and fulfilling his request. Man, G-Mike, what do the 49ers do in this situation, man?
Man, honestly, in my opinion, bro, I think you should trade him, man. If a player is not happy with the contract extension talks that you guys have been going over for months and months on end, and I think even dating back to last season, if we're really being honest, if he's not happy with what's going on with the money that he wants to get, and you guys don't want to pay him, that's cool, whatever, his business. But now he's requesting a trade, and now you want to hold him hostage? I don't really agree with that, man.
Ooh, that's a hot take there, man. What do you think about that, BC?
I mean, I would tend to agree with George a little bit. I know, at least for me, like when two sides can't negotiate, this kind of brings back some memories last season with Mike Evans and the Bucks. Obviously they pretty famous. They didn't get a deal done before the season. A lot of people were expecting him to be gone in free agency, or maybe them to trade him mid-season. I think that maybe this is kind of getting a bit overblown. I think San Francisco is probably just going to use this time to maybe try to focus on the season ahead, maybe try to build a winning environment, maybe try to win a Super Bowl, and then maybe kind of come back and be like, hey, we can't come to an agreement right now. We don't want to trade you. You're too talented. This team is too talented. We can win. And I think this season's going to kind of be their kind of last pitch for him to maybe kind of negotiate. And if they're unable to, maybe by midseason, I could see them pulling the trigger.
Yeah, and Aiyuk is actually coming off the best season of his career. He had 75 receptions for which was 31st in the league. He had 1,342 yards, which was 7th in the league. 7 TDs, which was tied for 18th in the league, and averaged 17.9 yards per attempt, which was 15th best in the league. So the player was top 20 in every category except receptions. But he's also a take the top off the field kind of guy. So you don't necessarily need as many receptions to be as impactful as he is. 7th in the league in receiving yards. That's an elite company there. And
Yeah,
you can, if you remember also, this happened in 2022 with Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel requested a trade from the Niners, and they did listen to offers for him, but in the end, they held their own, and they end up making him a deal, given an extension of 3 years, $72 million. I feel like that Aiyuk is one of the most important players in San Francisco. G Mike, do you think that they can survive without him?
Yeah, they definitely can survive without him because their main focus on the offense is Deebo Samuel, George Kittle with the nasty blocking that he has, and then he pumps out, goes out for a pass, and you could dump it off to him. He's a safety net. And even Christian McCaffrey, too. He can do a little bit of blocking. Obviously, he runs the ball really, really well. He catches the ball really, really well. And sometimes he can even throw him. Last season, he threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and ran a touchdown in the same game. So their offense does have a lot of weapons. So if Aiyuk gets up out of there, it's not going to really hurt them that much. Yeah, maybe they won't go undefeated, or maybe they'll lose 2 or 3 more games if he's gone. But I don't think it really moves the needle in a negative direction. But in my opinion, I think they should keep Brandon Aiyuk because, like how you said, he had a career year. He's a fantastic route runner. He has sticky glue hands. He could go up and catch with the best of them. A lot of corners are pretty, I would say, not scared to cover him, but you could tell that when they cover him, they really have to respect him and be on their A game. So I think they should keep Aiyuk. It's just that if he's wanting more money, why is it that you don't want to pay him? Is the question that I bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, John Lynch and this whole entire organization that they have, like he's done, I think, a really good job as a GM of like bringing a bunch of different pieces together, really trying to build a winning culture out there. So I don't doubt his ability to maybe perhaps at some point sit down with Brandon and work this out. And to kind of piggyback off your point, George, like with the Niners offense, like this team is built on versatility. That's the key word for San Fran. Like you said, every one of those 3 big stars cannot just do that. Kittle doesn't just block, he can catch. Deebo doesn't just catch, he can also run. McCaffrey doesn't just run, he can also block and he can catch. So this team is very versatile. And Brandon Aiyuk, he's a fantastic wide receiver, top 20, top 10, or maybe top 10 may be pushing it, but like top 20 in the game. Fantastic vertical threat, great hands. He adds a new dimension to this offense, but as far as versatility goes, though, he's not the most versatile of the bunch. So if you did have to lose one of those guys, he probably would be the odd man out. And I think that they could still survive without him. But again, I think John Lynch is going to find a way to sit down and renegotiate a contract with him.
Yeah, and it's like what I find kind of interesting about the way San Francisco is really set up is we all know this revolves around CMC, which that guy is otherworldly talent. It's amazing what he's able to do. The man was 4th on the team in receptions at 67 as your running back. That's insane to be able to say that. But so I was looking into the rest of the depth chart on here, and this is why I think this is so important for the way they're at right now, because Aiyuk is on a rookie deal, and let's not forget they still have Brock Purdy on a rookie deal, so their window is open but slightly shutting on this one. If they lose Aiyuk, you have Ronnie Bell, who had 6 receptions for 69 yards and 3 touchdowns. That was their top other guy, really. So yeah, Chris Conley, 3 receptions for 23 yards, 0 TDs. Juwan Jennings, who's starting to come into his own a little bit, had 19 receptions for 265 yards. That totals 357 yards and 4 touchdowns. That wasn't Aiyuk, Kittle, or Samuel. So that's a big deal for this team. That's not going to get it done. They also drafted Ricky Pearsall, who just recently is on the injured list right now with a little bit of soreness, but the guy's a rookie wide receiver. It takes him a little bit of time, and their window for the Super Bowl, because they haven't had to pay Brock Purdy, is almost closed if they don't re-sign Aiyuk, in my opinion on this one.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2 more years of Brock Purdy being a rookie. So, I mean, this year included 2024 and 2025. And in 2025, obviously, they would have to decide either to give him a contract extension or let him go, which I highly doubt it. They're not going to let Brock Purdy go.
Yeah, that would make no sense, I think, to get rid of Brock Purdy as long as Shanahan is there.
Unless you bring in another rookie quarterback that it plays as good as him, then it's like, okay, we'll take the rookie and let Brock Purdy go.
Right, he does exactly what Shanahan asks. He doesn't overthrow the ball. He doesn't. They're one of the least throwing teams in the league. They don't throw the ball very much, but he's very accurate and he gets the ball where it needs to be every single time. Like I really like Brock Purdy a lot. I think he's a really.
He
good
started
player.
Using his feet last year too. Started running a lot.
Yeah, learning, and he's young too, so he's still learning the game, and who knows, he could be, there was chance for MVP for some people for him, like he had a pretty damn good record last year.
Yeah, incredibly versatile. And again, that's the San Francisco 49ers offense. Versatility is the key.
Yeah, there's so many weapons on that team.
Man, yeah, they're a great team out there. Well, keeping it out west, we got Davante Adams' agent. Correct me if you heard this one before, is denying that he wants out of the excuse me, of the Raiders team.
That was a tongue twister,
on that one, huh?
Blah, 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 blah.
Wow, man, let me tell you out there, I'm a pro but didn't know it.
He needs what? He needs some milk. He needs some
yeah, pretty much, man. Struggling over here. Anyways, we're keeping it out west, and Davante Adams, his agent is making a statement saying that the wide receiver has not requested a trade, and that it is baseless and unheard of. I'm pretty sure we're all throwing the air quotes in the air here, saying that I'm not buying that one. So this is pretty much a two-part question, if you will, for both of you guys. Who do you think is likely to stick with their team? And if they're both not going to stick with their teams, where do you think both these two guys are going to go, Aiyuk and Adams? G, Mike, go first, man.
I think that if I would have to pick one, because just to give a definitive answer, I don't think either one is going to go anywhere. I think both teams are going to hold these players hostages, really. Especially Davante Adams. He's like the focal leader of that offense right now, with Josh Jacobs gone to Green Bay. But if I would have to pick, I would pick Davante Adams, trying to go back to playing with the only quarterback he has success with, Aaron Rodgers, in New York. New York has been told the media several times last year and this year, a couple weeks ago, saying that they tried to trade for Davante Adams, but the Raiders weren't going for it. So I would pick Davante Adams. It would be the first one to leave compared to Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah, I agree with that one too. Brandon, what do you think, man?
I mean, I tend to agree. I don't see Aiyuk going anywhere, so I think Davante is definitely the one that's going to be more than likely to leave. Rodgers in New York obviously would be the favorite for him to go to, obviously, and it presents him the best chance to win a championship. Although I think an underrated option, again, the reason why he went out to Oakland was to kind of reunite, so to say, with Derek Carr. I mean, you could potentially see him down in New Orleans as well. I know they need some weapons as well. Like, Kamara's not getting any older. Derek Carr really struggled a lot last year, so I think getting him his old weapon from Oakland would be a great move for the Saints. But the biggest issue is their cap situation. I mean, they continue to kick the can down the road, so to say, but you bring in Davante Adams at some point, bubble's going to burst. And so how are you going to be able to make that happen?
Yeah, I think out of the two of them, I tend to think that Aiyuk is going to stay in San Francisco. If just playing the hypothetical game here, I think if Aiyuk was on the move, I know the Patriots have already tried to reach out a couple times to try to get Aiyuk, and they basically said we're not doing it. He's not for sale or anything. So I think the Pats would make a strong move. I would like to see the my Colts try to make a move out there. He'd be a great number 1A, number 1B with Michael Pittman out there. But the other team that to be thinking about that just lost damn near all their receivers is the Chargers. That would be Adams or I know they would never happen because it's in division. Obviously, they would never let Davante Adams go to the Chargers, being in the same division. But if I was the Chargers, I would be on the phone with both those guys, because who's going to be their lead receiver now? Ladd McConkey, or is it going to be Joshua Palmer? Like, are any of those guys really getting you excited? And you have a great young quarterback out there. So if I was the Chargers, I would be making a bunch of phone calls and offering some picks or whatever it took to possibly get something out there, because you guys need some help out there, unless they're using this year as we're going to see how this works and assess later, but there's no time like the present whenever you got a good young quarterback like Justin Herbert out there. So if I was the Chargers, that's somebody I would be out there trying to make some phone calls with. But I totally agree with you as well. If Adams is on the move, it's the Jets. I think that's the only place that would actually come to fruition.
Let me bring up a true or false for you guys right now. So, the lineman for the Green Bay Packers, I forgot his name, but the one that's usually known for chugging beers at Milwaukee Bucks basketball games. That's his name? Okay. He recently said on the Pat McAfee show that Davante Adams made the worst move of his career by leaving the Green Bay Packers. True or false?
True.
100%
true.
Yep.
I get
100%
it.
true.
You wanted to play with your boy back in college. You know, you're gonna go over there and play with your boy and all this stuff. But dude,
Yep.
when you compare Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr, dude, there's no
Yeah,
comparison, man.
no, I mean,
Like,
with that hypothetical as well, is like I could slightly understand why he would want to make that move because Aaron Rodgers was leaving. They probably knew a lot more than we did and
mhm.
out here. But having said that too, is that they had Jordan Love in the wing, and Jordan Love is becoming a great quarterback. It looks like he's going to be leading those boys pretty far.
He almost went to the Super
So
Bowl.
yeah, so like I don't think that anybody really expected him to be as good as he was because if you watch whenever he was there for a little bit of time, he looked bad. When he got those few starts, he did not look good. So I think Davante Adams probably saw the writing on the wall. They're not going to pay me, and I got this other guy coming in here, and we all know Davante Adams isn't about numbers here for greatness. So, you know, and so I think that he probably does regret that in the back of his mind. And from what I've heard from everybody is that Green Bay is a hell of a place to play, and you want to be there. The fans love them. Love their players out there. So yeah, I definitely think that he probably regrets going there or regrets knowing what happened if he didn't just go like you were playing Brandon, just go to the Saints then or something and wait for him to get there, So yeah, I definitely think that was a bad move for him though.
We'll
To
take
chase the
you in
big
Dallas, baby. We'll take you in
yeah,
Dallas.
exactly. I think anybody in the league would take him
A
like
hundred
in a
percent,
drop of a
a
dime.
hundred percent, drop of a dime for real.
What do you think Davante Adams could get right now, though? If the Raiders were legitimately like, is he still a first one or two first round picks, or is he like
Oh,
a group
two
of?
players, two picks, cash.
I don't
Bro,
know what they
he's
would
so
get.
great, man. He's so great, in my opinion.
Agreed, and it wouldn't be a slight on his ability or anything. I just don't know because of the age if
Yeah.
he would still be claiming, two first rounders and a
How old is
player,
he?
or if it's multiple second and thirds. I'm not 100% sure of that what that would go for.
Let me see how old he is. 'Cause
I
He's
want to
like,
say he's 31 or 32.
yeah, he should be in his 30s for sure.
yeah,
So I mean, you got to take that into
30,
account.
he's 30.
31, but still, he 31. I would say maybe he got like 4 or 5 more years, maybe with
Yeah,
his
and there's
route
nothing
running
saying that he's lost
skills.
a step. Yeah.
Yeah, with his route running skills, I would say like 4 or 5 more years. So like, for sure, he would want to go to a team that's a contender.
Yes.
You want to win right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with that, Brandon. You were saying though, what do you think would happen with that?
Well, I was just gonna say, I know like the tendency with Devontae is like to say, oh yeah, for sure, he's worth based on his past resume, he's worth like a couple first round picks for sure. But if we're just going based off of like last year, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, that's still a good to great wide receiver, but that's a step. I think that's a slight step down from what we're used to seeing. I think he probably commands more of, and especially with how frugal I think GMs are now with their draft picks, like it's rare we see first round picks going these days. Like for star players, usually I'm seeing guys go for like the best players, usually going for like second, maybe third or something like that. So he probably gets like a couple second round picks, maybe like a third, just like packaged
Yeah.
in.
is that
So
there's so many studs now in college, bro, that when you're young, coming right out of the gates, going into the NFL, bro, it's either you're a star or a bust. Like
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
clear cut nowadays.
The players are just in so much better shape and just in general, like the athlete in general coming out of college now. Like it used to take people a couple of years. Now it's like a couple of games
Yeah,
and they're
literally,
ready to go.
literally.
yeah. I still remember when the Bucks traded for Gruden, like they gave up like two firsts and like a second and a third, and like over the course of like 3 years. Then it's like now something like that, you'd be lucky to get a second and a third in that deal.
Yeah,
So
look at Zeke with the Cowboys. His first year, yeah, we had a great offensive line. Don't get me wrong, but dude,
Yeah.
he put over what 1,200 yards and had like at least like 10 touchdowns.
yep.
Man,
Yeah, well, it's actually going to be seeing bring up Zeke. It is kind of fitting, I think, for him to. I think this might be his last little hoorah, his last little run. But I'm glad to see him back in the Cowboys uniform. We'll be covering the Cowboys pretty soon next week. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like it's a cool ending. I'm glad to see.
yes, yes, I appreciate it. But as an
He's back
RB1, come on,
That's gross.
no, no, I can't have
Yeah.
him as RB1. Dog,
That
come on,
one's-
man. Yo, sign
that's pretty
Dalvin
wild.
Cook, bro. I'll take Dalvin Cook right now. Come on.
Oh, we got plenty of time to digest all that. We get in the next couple of weeks. We'll be hitting the NFC East over there, so don't you worry about that. Well, guys, I think that was kind of fun talking about that one. Just playing a little hypothetical over there because I think both guys, if they go to another team, is going to make such impacts. Aiyuk, I think, is going to stay there, and I think if he does, San Francisco is going to be right back rolling. Davante Adams, though, I think this is going to get louder as the season goes on because realistically, he's got Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
And neither one of those guys are going to get him the numbers that he lead. And Brandon, like you were saying too, he did end up with over 1,000 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns, but that took the entire season to get to. That wasn't like one of those, he had a big run. That was virtually every single game it took to get to that point.
No,
So,
and there was some games I had him on fantasy. There was some games that he only had one catch for like 2 yards and only like 2 targets. And it's like, bro, that's your best player. You're not gonna throw the ball to him 10 times. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, and
Exactly.
if you like the clips though too of like the Raiders games last year, he was so frustrated with that organization. Like Jimmy G slinging the rock to him, like he was livid, going to the sidelines. He looked like he was about to murder the dude. Like he was just
the Netflix documentary too.
Yeah, it's just terrible though, the quarterback play he has there. So I feel like out of those two, if Davante really wants to end his career on a high note, he needs to find a place that he can win now. And it's probably his best bet is going back with Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
I would like him in Baltimore.
It'd be interesting.
Baltimore, that Baltimore would be an interesting one. They could use like a legit wide receiver.
Yeah, because their wide receiver one right now is Rashard Bateman, and
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a fun spot for him.
Yeah.
I know, like I was saying before, I know it would never happen, but the Chargers would be a really good spot too.
Yeah, that would be a good spot for him for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got plenty of time to digest, and we'll see how whenever he starts getting louder.
Go to Buffalo with Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That'd be pretty sick too. Actually, that'd be nice. But we'll have plenty of time because we already know this is going to get louder whenever Aiden O'Connell has a 4 interception game and he's pissed off on the sideline, really. But I mean, one more thing on Davante Adams though is he doesn't strike me as that typical diva wide receiver though. I mean, like
he doesn't.
He's more of a in the locker room. He might let the coach know, like, hey, give me the ball. But he doesn't strike me as a guy on the sideline whining and everything. You know, I mean, like
he's more appreciative. I feel.
Yeah, he pushed to get Antonio Pierce hired, and I think that hire is going to be a good hire. I think it's going to help out the Raiders out there for that one. But and hell, let's face it, the guy has a Taco Bell in his house. I mean, who wants to leave Las Vegas?
Yeah,
that commercial is pretty raw. That commercial is pretty. It's pretty creative. It's pretty creative.
That would be the dream to have a Taco Bell in your house. I swear, man.
Nah, hell no. I'll die.
Oh, man,
I'll die in like
Taco
2
Bell's one of
weeks.
the finest establishments known to man.
No, it's fantastic. But I'm saying I would die in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I would not be able to make it out, man.
Yeah,
100%.
That just goes though, like you said, like he's a great dude in the locker room and everything. Not a bad player at all from personality perspective. Just the situation he's in. It's the Raiders. Like that's all you need. Raiders gonna Raider.
Yeah.
Especially in Las Vegas. They be raiding in Las Vegas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're moving on, ladies and gentlemen, and we're heading on to our newest segment. So welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to our newest segment entitled The Top 5 Views. This is going to be a fun segment where we're really going to encourage your participation. We're going to give our top 5 on different topics. With the audience, we need your help, but if you guys can let us know what you would like us to debate on next, as well as give us your own. So in honor of the much anticipated release of the new college football game, we are at this releasing tomorrow, Friday, July 19th. We're going to do our top 5 favorite football games of all time. BC, we're going to go ahead and start with you, and we're going to go in reverse order from 5 down. So what you got? Number 5.
All right. So for my list, I am going to sound like a complete boomer with mine. Just a heads up for everybody listening here. Don't at me. All right.
Adam.
All right, bring it then. I'll try my best to keep it short and sweet, but I'm going to start off with Madden 11 as my number 5. To me, it's the best Madden from the Xbox 360 or 360 PS3 generation of games. For those games, it had the best franchise mode, had the best superstar mode. For me, Madden fell off a cliff in Madden 13. So I'm just giving y'all a heads up. You're not going to be seeing any Maddens from 11 onward on my list. Just a heads up. Nice. Madden 11 is going to start us off at number 5.
Yeah, I only have one Madden on my list too.
G Mike, what you got, man? Number 5.
Number 5, I got NFL Blitz 2002, man. Yo, those Blitz games were the best. Whenever you finish a play and you can literally just go again and boom, we get a little wonton dive right after the play and stuff. And they have it in arcades everywhere. You go to Dave & Buster's or any other arcades, they have them.
Which NFL Blitz was it? I want to say it was after that year, but you could start sitting like steroids to players. You could sit. Did you remember all that?
It was
like Lawrence Taylor was on there or something.
Yeah, it was like the first one for the Xbox 360. It was
whatever it was.
I don't think it was called Blitz. It was called something else. Yeah, that you could take. You could take Roy's during the game and stuff.
You take roids, you could
and
send
adrenaline.
ladies to the locker room or whatever. It just was a mess.
Yo, for
All right,
real.
so my number 5, I'm going OG of OG here. Techno Bowl, man. Come on, boys. Techno Bowl, man. You put the graphics weren't the greatest, but for most young kids, that was their first experience of playing video game football.
The kids don't know about that. They're gonna be watching.
And let's face it, man. You play Bo Jackson. You play Bo Jackson. You're getting a touchdown every game.
Yeah.
And if you're ever bored, go watch that Family Guy cutaway, the Family Guy clip of Bo Jackson. They show you how you can literally run from end zone to end zone with Bo Jackson, and you will never ever get tackled.
Cheat code. That game has
absolutely Techno Bowl, classic.
Reminds me
of all right, Brandon, we got number 4. What you got?
All right, number 4, I've got again another one from the 360 and PS3 era, or not Madden, NCAA football 2011. Again, from presentation standpoint, from the career mode, from dynasty mode, it was the best I think of. Again, that HD era of consoles. Road to glory. I think we all have really good memories starting off playing in high school and then taking yourself to the college ranks and then just riding your program up and making it great. And then the great part about that was you could go from being a player and you could import it to either Madden 11, or you could stay as a coach and build up your team from there and just like keep the legacy going. So NCAA 11.
Good pick.
Yeah,
G-Mike, what you got, bro?
That was a dope pick, but 2011 was a good year of football video games for you, huh?
Oh, I mean, there's a few good years. Some of these I had to leave off. But
yeah, my number 4 is NCAA College Football 14, the last NCAA College Football that they did until this year, with the game coming out tomorrow night. Guys, go get it. Yep. Use promo code VIEWS. But yeah, I thought it was dope. I've always thought those games were dope because it's like you start off in high school, then you go to college, and you create a name for yourself, and you can even put your school's name in there and stuff like that. And I was in high school actually playing football at that time, so it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Man, G-Mike, I think we're on the same page on a lot of these picks here, I think. And so I'm actually going with number 4 with NFL Blitz. Okay. The original NFL Blitz, you have the announcer. It was borderline. It's pretty much, I think, the same guy that did NBA Jam. But that announcer, that voice is iconic. You could literally body slam, power slam. You could elbow drop somebody after the play, and then you would get more points, or you get like turbo if you purposely hurt somebody out there. Mm-hmm. NFL Blitz was just wild and just a typically fun arcade mode and actually arcade game.
Yep.
All right, BC, we're up to number 3, man. Where you at?
I got Madden 2007 for me. I got it listed as the best Madden, just from a sheer perspective of franchise mode, one of the deepest, or probably the deepest in Madden history. You've got Superstar mode that came out the year before. It got some revamps as well, as very deep. And then also too, the gameplay element, I think, is probably the best that Madden's ever had. You had, the hit stick from Madden 05 that was added to it. You got the highlight stick from Madden 06. You even got lead blocking as well that you could play as. Like you could highlight, if you wanted to be a fullback or offensive line, you could do that. So from gameplay, from franchise, game, like everything not NCAA, that Madden's had, previous Madden titles had, it combined it all in there. And I think Madden 2007 is peak Madden football.
Good explanation there, G-Mike. All right, you're up number 3.
Yeah, Madden 2007 was pretty dope. My number 3 is NFL 2K5 with Terrell Owens on the front. Bro, the 2K gameplay for football was pretty damn dope. I've always liked the 2K gameplay for basketball and MLB. Especially in the early years, like the
no one beats 2K in basketball. 2K in basketball.
But football was pretty dope too. But once they got out of contract with Madden, I think that they stopped doing that. And
EA took that over
and whatever. But it was pretty dope. The running schemes in that game was good. I like the way that you throw the ball too, even though in Madden it's better. But the way that you run in that game was pretty dope, like the sharp cuts and stuff like that. And when you do franchise, they had a lot of customization on it too. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that definitely was pretty cool. With T.O. on the cover and everything too. That was definitely pretty cool, man. That's a throwback there. So we already mentioned before, but I'm going for my number 3 is going to be NCAA 14. It was the last year that they made it before they came back out with it this year. They were really promoting the ESPN aspect of it on there, so they had a lot of extra ESPN stuff going on in there. They had, remember this one? They had shoelaces. Denard Robinson was on the cover. That guy was a cheat code. He was ridiculously fast. So I was a big fan of
Wolverines.
yeah, I've been big fan of NCAA 14. It was so much fun just taking a team. Like I made a community college, and then you end up competing for like the national teams with the national teams and moving them into different conferences. You could also do the exporting into the other Madden. So I thought that was really cool. So we're getting almost to the tops of our list. So we're at number 2, BC. That's gonna come hot, man. What you got?
NCAA 2006 for PS2. And if I didn't say it earlier with Madden 07, this is also the PS2 version. PS2 versions of the games were just so deep. I think nowadays, like the level of depth that you have in so many of the game modes, it's missing from today's consoles. But yeah, NCAA 06, like the Race the Heisman, like that was, I think, such a great. I think Road to Glory was a fantastic like career mode, but I think Race to the Heisman just had so much more customization. You had your dorm room, you had practice schedule, you had to take like classes in order to keep your grades up. Like it really was an immersive collegiate experience when you're playing as it. And as you progressed in your career, your dorm got upgraded, everything got upgraded.
I didn't
So
remember that.
and then on top of that too, like the gameplay presentation, like the classic Brad Nessler, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, like who doesn't love that trio? And then each just the unique, like the uniqueness of each team that gets introduced. It was just it was to me it was the peak of PS2 college football. So
Yeah, that definitely was a fun one. G
Yeah.
Mike number 2, man. It's gotta be a good one.
Yeah, PS2 games were the best, and this is why number 2 for me is NFL Street 2. That game, bro, had me hooked, bro.
Ah,
love
Dude,
that.
just jumping off the walls, throwing the ball, catching the ball, running over people. The little campaign that they had too. You start off with your own character, you make them, and you grow them into like the full Pro Bowler of NFL
yeah.
Street and stuff like that. It was dope, and then you could create your own teams and like the colors and stuff like that. I thought it was sick.
Good
All
times.
right, all right. So my number 2 is going to be Madden 06. That is with the Donovan McNabb on the cover. It was the first year they added the QB vision, which some people didn't like, but I thought that was really cool. I thought it really showcased which quarterbacks really were better accurate passers. But that was back when Manning was still playing, and it was like the entire screen was open. Or you could also had other players like Michael Vick, for instance. It was a little bit smaller of a vision, but he was lightning fast. So and Manning obviously couldn't do that. So that was really fun. They also they had the hit stick in there, which that's been like a foundational piece of the Madden franchise. But I really enjoyed that the QB vision, and I like the soundtrack they had on there too. Is one of the
Oh,
last times they actually had rock music on there. So
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
all right, BC for number 1.
dude, I've got Georgia's number 3 as my number 1, man. NFL 2K5, man. Like, as far as the gameplay, I have yet to see any Madden game that has come out since 2K5 that has come close to just the presentation that you have ESPN, the again, the gameplay, the running mechanics, the tackle mechanics, to me, the throwing mechanics are better just because I don't know, like it's just something, it just seems like even the modern Madden games haven't quite captured the art of throwing. Whereas like in the previous 2K, it's just the throwing touch that you have. You could throw bullets, you could throw lobs, but the throwing motion was just so fluid. It wasn't as herky jerky as some of the game mechanics are now. And just I think an aspect that Georgie didn't mention in 2K5, crib. Like the crib mode from NFL 2K5 was so good. Like you could bring in, you could get all these achievements, all these awards, all these accolades. Then
I don't remember that.
you could buy posters, you could buy like hockey tables, you could buy bobbles. You could like customize it. There's so much customization in that game. And just it doesn't have really a superstar mode, career mode, but the franchise mode was so in depth. I feel like all those things kind of make up for a lack of superstar mode. So NFL 2K5, man, it's the best of all time.
I think it's 2K does such a great job with like body mechanics that EA Sports just hasn't been able to figure out. Like when you're playing like 2K basketball, I really feel like you either A, you learn a lot about basketball, and B, you have to kind of understand how to actually play, because otherwise you got NBA Live that you got everybody dunking on each other and it doesn't make any
Running
sense.
past people, there's no defense.
Right, it just doesn't make any sense. But I feel like with 2K, well, they're doing such a great job of body mechanics and actually making motions that these guys make. Madden, it's of course great. It's been a franchise for years and it's always going to be around, I feel like. But I feel like it reminds me of a video game sometimes. No matter what they do, it still just feels like a video game, where 2K you can walk by the living room if you're playing and not know if someone's playing, you didn't realize, like, oh, who's playing right now? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like you're watching a real game. So I think 2K does a great job, and I wish they could get a contract back with some sort of NFL in there. But I digress for a second here. G Mike, what is your number one?
So my number one is Madden NFL 06, and a lot of things of what you said, Steve, like the NFL Combine on that was super dope. I think that was the first year that they actually did that. And if it was the year before that, I don't think it was as good as it was in 2006. That was the first time I ever played online football against other people. So the memories of that, of raging and my mom coming in and being like, "Shut the fuck up," and fucking going crazy. Dude,
was that still dial-up days?
It was dial-up days. Yep.
Yeah, to connect the cable wire to
the cable wire when I wanted to play, and then when my sister wanted to use the internet, I had to get off
the phone.
yeah, dude. And then the other thing too was in that game the QB vision, like you mentioned, but also with the running backs when you actually ran the ball. It was when they introduced I don't know if it was that year that they introduced it or the year before, but I know in that game is when I used it a lot. The hit stick. The hit stick was the best thing to use.
Hit stick, I believe, was 06. That's exactly what I was saying too. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, you had like truck stick for defense or one of the two. It was like truck stick and hit stick. You could kind of use for both sides. That was a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right, so to wrap this up, we're gonna go individually. Give me your top 5 in a row, and then I'm just gonna bounce to each one of you guys. So you guys ready?
Wait, what's your number one? What's your number one?
Oh, yeah. The fans are dying to know what my number one was. Sorry about that. I know everybody out there is on pins and needles right now. Sorry about that. Mine is a definite throwback. This one's going to be a throwback for sure. NFL Game Day 98.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, did I play the hell out of that game. Dude. Jerome Bettis was on the cover, and Jerome Bettis was a damn cheat code playing in that too, because remember how they had the diamond as it was like PlayStation 1, I think it was, maybe PlayStation 2, but they had the diamond and
PlayStation 1. Yeah, PlayStation 1.
And whenever you even came close to that, if you had like a Bettis or a bigger back, they're just getting trucked off you. You're not taking them down. You're always averaging at least probably 5 yards of carry in the game. But that game was fun. Shout out to 989 Studios. Remember that one?
Yeah, dude, there was so many cheat codes in the old football games, bro, that it was so, bro, it would piss me off as a kid. And I would play, imagine I was like 7 years old, 6 years old playing against my cousins that were like 14 and stuff.
Tell me if I'm the only one that you had to have a rule if you were playing against somebody. You couldn't run the option if you had Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Because
Madden 07?
Yeah.
Sorry. Madden 04.
Yeah.
Madden 04. You're using Michael Vick.
That was like a rule. You cannot run that play because you cannot. It was impossible to stop.
No, and Madden 08, when they had everybody on steroids, that Tom Brady looked like he was big as hell, and the Patriots were like super hard to defeat. Like you couldn't beat them.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think like going back on the one I was just saying for my number one here, I think that was still in the era, like when in 98, early 2000s, to where if your team was on the cover, that meant you were the best team in the game as well. So somehow like your team was almost unstoppable because they gave them like almost everybody was 99s because they made the cover, opposed to just making everybody okay. Cordell Stewart, I believe, was the quarterback back in the day on that one, So like that was they had a great one in 989 Studios. They had another cool guy's voice on there. So
underrated
the announcements.
2K5 Mike Allstott. Like if you ran the ball,
dude,
you didn't even need to charge up your run meter at all. You could just like play without and just keep trucking them, and you're getting like 10-20 yards each carry.
That game, I hated playing against the Broncos and throwing to Champ Bailey. Every time it would be a pick, bro.
I'll give you another cheat code in there. How about when Peyton Hillis was on the cover, and that was just truck stick all day long. You are not getting that guy down.
That's the guy, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Madden 12, underrated soundtrack. One of the best soundtracks to any Madden, I think.
Yeah. No, I like Madden 11 too. Madden 11 soundtrack was pretty dope.
Both of those were fantastic.
Yeah, I just wish they would bring back some rock, man. That's all I'm asking for. Just a little bit.
I mean, it should be more diverse for sure. Like put rock, but everything really.
Yeah, it's like
some metal. I'll be happier.
It's like if you could take like the gameplay from like NFL 2K5 and you have like superstar mode and franchise mode of like past Maddens, you've got like the perfect football game.
100%.
And then add Road to Glory in there. Boom.
Yes.
Road to Glory was great.
Yeah.
Road to Glory.
That's
Was
what I
great.
can't wait to play tomorrow, bro. I can't wait to play that.
Yeah, I need to step my game up. I just found out today that you can only play it on the next gen consoles. I had
Breaking
no
news.
idea. Yeah, if anybody wants to start a GoFundMe for me, I'll take it. But I need a PS5 out
I
there.
need a PS5 right now.
PS5, and I'll play it for you. And I will give you a video of how great it is. I'm playing it. So
Don't worry.
anyway,
Don't worry. You live 10
Stevie B
minutes
reacts.
from me, bro. You can come over
yeah,
and we'll play. We'll play.
exactly.
Dude, we got Stevie B and GM reacts videos right here, man.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're gonna
Live
go ahead and wrap
gameplay,
this,
live rage.
there we go. Exactly. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up here. And so as just a recap, all right. So we're gonna go through this real quick. Brandon, you're gonna give me your 5 through 1, and then Mike, and then I will give you mine, and we will wrap up the segment. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the with BC down there. Give me your top 5 in order, my man.
Number 5, I got Madden 11 for the 360 PS3. Number 4, I've got NCAA Football 11 for 360 PS3. Number 3, I've got Madden 07 for the PS2 Xbox. For number 2, I've got NCAA Football 06 for the PS2 and Xbox. And wrapping it up at number 1, I got ESPN NFL 2K5 for the PS2 and Xbox.
Gee, Mike, what you got?
I got number 5, NFL Blitz 2002. At number 4, I got NCAA College Football 2014. At number 3, I got NFL 2K5. At number 2, I got NFL Street 2. And at number 1, Madden NFL 06.
Nice. All right. So number 5, I got Techno Bowl. Number 4, I got NFL Blitz. Number 3, coming in strong at NCAA 14. Number 2, I got Madden 06, and my number 1 NFL. And my number 1 is NFL Game Day 1998 by 989 Studios. We want to hear from you guys out there. Tell us what you think, what you like, what you dislike, and give us your top 5. And hell, give us a topic to debate next on that one.
Yeah, give us some fun gaming experiences though too from these football games, man. Tell us how they how they affected your childhood, made you want to rage quit, or you had some great memories being a campus legend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's so much fun going down memory lane. Looking at some like old games that used to play and like how intense they were and how many controllers have you guys actually broken? Like I just remember like smashing them like on the ground and then yeah, I know. The worst is if you ever had like you were playing and someone walks by, they're like, it's just a game, and it's like, what do you mean it's just a game?
Oh, I got so many of those growing up from mom and dad. Fortunately, I had a big brother who we were both on the same page. We were like, yo, this is life right here.
Well, as an only child, I won every argument of the game, so it kind of worked out in my favor. But yeah, I just remember my mom or parents just screaming in the other room, "It's just a game! I'm not buying you another damn controller."
No, one and you'll like it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
bro.
meanwhile, I'm like, no, I'm averaging 22 yards a game. What are you talking about, Mom? I'm in the game.
Yeah, right, bro. Let's see. You guys coming from a white American household. I'm coming from a Hispanic American household, and it was like, dude, it was full time about to get my ass whooped if I fucking scream and this and that, bro. Man. We got this thing in our culture that is called la chancleta. It's basically a sandal.
Oh, who doesn't know La Chancleta?
Yo, shoot, I'm from the South, so like, shoot, we had the belt, we had the branch. Take your pick.
Well, I mean, I had Mom, so that was enough there.
Yeah.
She was a mix of belt branch and La Chancletas.
Yeah. You said that kind of good.
Yeah, you like that? I'm bilingual here, man. I was born in Indiana, you know, so that's why it's about Despacito. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Shout out to my parents out there, both you guys. I love you guys very much, and thanks for letting me scream at a TV screen, vicariously making character and playing playing football in my room. So thanks for actually not letting me play real football. Thanks a lot for that.
I still scream nowadays. My fiance, my fiance's like, shut the fuck up.
I can't help it. I still do. I can't lie.
Yeah.
Well, my poor wife sometimes when I rage quit on Madden. Ugh.
Bro,
right,
I had to uninstall Madden, bro. I had to uninstall it, man.
It got that bad, huh?
Yeah, dude. Like, because you know how I was making clips and stuff of Madden, like off of Twitch and whatever. Dude, just like 2 months ago, I was running a Madden league, whatever, with some of my boys from high school and this and that, boom, boom. and whatever playing throughout the whole season, and a few of them are just playing like super cheese, just running the ball the whole time, not throwing it, not actually playing the game, right? And that
Yeah.
was like getting me frustrated and pissed off, and I'm just like, and every time you go and play online now, after a while of a game being out, you know, kids tend to learn like what are the glitches and the little cheat codes
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And there's in Madden, ever since Madden has started back in 1999 or 2000, whenever it was, there's always been some glitches in the game. Obviously, every year it tends to get better, but there's still glitches. And bro, it just got to a point that I was just like, I can't play this game no more, bro. I'm gonna lose my damn fucking mind.
They got
Dude.
NA, they got NA out there, they got AA out there. George goes to MA, Madden Anonymous. All right, gents, we're going to jump into some real football down here. And I know Brandon's been chomping at the bits down there. So we're going to jump into the NFC South. And like I was saying, BC, I know this is your division. This is your boys. So we're going to go and get started at the top with your Tampa Bay Bucks at a record of 9-8. A few numbers on the Bucks here. They were 17th in the league in passing at 224.2 yards a game, 32nd in the league in rushing with 88.8 yards per game. That's pretty low numbers on that one. I was kind of shocked when I read that stat on there because White actually is a pretty decent running back. They were 20th in the league in points and 7th in the league in points against. Excuse me, they were 20th in the league in points for and 7th in the league for points against. They re-signed Baker Mayfield in the offseason. They lost their OC, Dan Canales, into an in-division rival, the Carolina Panthers. BC, I know you're dying to get busy with this one, so go ahead and tell us what's going on with the Bucks, man. How you feel about the Bucks?
Well, I mean, number one, let's address the elephant in the room with the run game.
Just
Yeah,
no. Oh.
nah, nah. Um, Rashad White is fantastic back, obviously. Like almost broke the Bucks curse for over 1,000 yards. We haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since Doug Martin back in like 2014 or 15, I want to say. So he's a fantastic running back. The problem is that it was basically him and nobody else. Like Chase Edmonds, trash. Sean trash. This year they addressed that. They got Bucky Irving. He's going to be a guy. He kind of plays a similar style to Rashad White. Should be, I believe, the RB2 on this roster. And then also too, they addressed their need. The biggest need was the interior offensive line. You got Graham Barton in the draft. You signed Bredesen and Suopeta. They'll probably compete over the guard spot, though I think that should be Robert Hainsey. But your offensive line on the interior has gotten a lot better. I think Liam Cohen's going to be a better OC than Canales because Canales a lot of times was very stubborn with insisting on running up the middle. Dumbest idea last year. I think that Liam Cohen's going to adapt a little bit more. And then talking about passing game, you got Baker Mayfield, who was Pro Bowl MVP last year. You got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two perennial Pro Bowlers as well. Cade Otton's emerging at the tight end. You've got Trey Palmer, Jaden McMillan, who are going to be competing for our wide receiver 3 spot. Offense, I think, is going to take a big step forward this year for sure. And I think defense is going to continue to develop as well. Obviously, the run defense, you got Big Vita Vea at nose tackle, one of the best in the league. You've got some young studs out there on the edge with Kalijah Cansey and Logan Hall. Your edge rushers probably this year is going to be Yaya Diaby, Joe Tryon, Shoyinka. The edge rushing is probably going to be the weakest spot on defense for sure. But then you've got middle linebacker, Levante David, Aegis Wonder continues to get better. And then the secondary, I think, is probably going to make the biggest improvement from last year because our run defense has always been great, but our pass defense has always been struggling a little bit. But Jamel Dean, I think, is going to have a great year. Antoine Winfield's going to build on his all-pro season and really solidify himself, I think, as the best safety in the league. And Jordan Whitehead as your number 2 safety, it's going to be probably the best safety tandem in the league. So a lot of info at y'all, but it's going to be a big improvement year for the Bucks.
I think if Winfield ever needs a president of the fan club, you are definitely his probably biggest fan in the league, man. You preach that man up very much. So if you're listening out there, man, BC Brandon is your boy. I'm telling you that right now. And a lot of private conversations, everything. This dude loves Winfield Jr., man. And which all with he should though. He's a great player. Yeah. Great player.
Team. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like last year, it was really upsetting to see that he didn't get a Pro Bowl nod, whereas you had Budda Baker, who had like 50 less tackles and had like no picks, no sacks, whereas Winfield stuffing up the stat sheet and literally was the reason why our defense was as great as it was. Like he's a stud.
Yeah, well, that's a lot there. What do you think, G Mike? How are you feeling about the Bucks in there? Because Brandon feels pretty good about him right there.
I feel pretty good about him too, and he hit a lot of great marks that that I don't really have to repeat. But the one thing I did want to address that you brought up is the secondary, because last year your secondary man was nowhere to be found, bro. And I feel like you bring back Whitehead, and you bring back Winfield. You get a lot of a veteran leadership back too. You guys signed like what 6 or 7 veterans back. You bring back a Baker Mayfield, which I think he took a huge leap last year of showing myself and others doubters that he cannot clutch in games, because I really thought that he couldn't. Last year he showed us that he can. So I don't know. I see a lot of upside for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only problem that I got with you guys in your division is the Atlanta Falcons because of what they brought in. But you guys are gonna be neck and neck with them. You made it. You made it to the divisional round last year. Almost got to the NFC Championship. We're a little bit close right there at the end, but you still got a little more progression to go. But there's a lot of upside for you guys, 100%.
Brendan, what's your thoughts on? You were saying you were okay with Canales leaving, but Canales, I feel like, is a very important part of Baker Mayfield. Mayfield wasn't what he was without Canales. I feel like Mayfield was kind of on his way out, but I feel like Canales kind of got him his check. What do you think of the new OC that was coming in here, and how's he going to gel with Baker Mayfield?
I mean, I like Liam Cohen. I think that he fits really well with Baker because he was with him during his time in Los Angeles with the Rams when he started to kind of it was, when he was in Carolina, he was on the downswing. I think LA kind of helped drum up a little bit enough interest in him to kind of bring him over to the Bucks. And so I think that familiarity already with Baker will be good for him. And in addition to, Baker has talent. I don't think Canales made Baker Mayfield. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Baker's on the level of a Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. But he showed flashes in Cleveland of being great. And I think, as he progressed over there, injuries wore him down. His lack of, I think, help that he had wore him down. I think now he's in a team, he's in a system that is going to help maximize his talents, his abilities, what he does best, and that's slinging the football. And again, you've got an OC now that is familiar with you. And I think for Liam Cohen, he's a bit more fluid in his play calling. He bases his play calling more around, what the players do, as opposed to Canales, who kind of just went in with a rigid scheme of, we're going to do this, this, and this, and we're just going to stick to it no matter what. And it wasn't until about halfway through the season when we were starting to tank that he finally started making adjustments. Whereas with Cohen, I see him as more of a guy that from day one, he's going to know what we have, and he's going to not wait until the second half of the season. He's going to wait until the second half of that game to make adjustments.
Yeah, I mean that does bring up a good point, really. I mean, you want your OC and the quarterback obviously on the same page, and so if this guy's more of a player's coach, I think that one of the biggest things I always take away from the Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay thing, I think if you see interviews with Baker Mayfield now compared to prior Baker Mayfield, I feel like he seems happy, and I think that he seems comfortable, and I think he enjoys playing in Tampa Bay. He likes the city, he likes everything going on. He's finally got his family settled down a little bit. He seems like a lot more mature. So I almost kind of feel like it's the right time for both of the for the organization and the team. Coming off of Tom Brady, now you got a younger player. Obviously Baker Mayfield, you're not comparing the two, but Mayfield did his own thing. He wasn't really had to step into Brady's shoes or anything. So I think that Mayfield seems a lot more content in Tampa Bay than I've seen him in a long time. And you don't see him doing the ads anymore, really, like he was. And the distractions seem like they're gone. He just seems like he's having fun out there. And I think that goes a long way.
100%.
So we're moving on to the second place team in the division, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints got Derek Carr last year, and they were hoping for a lot more. They were hoping that he would take him to the promised land and that he would be the heir apparent to Drew Brees. And it just fell short. G Mike, what happened with Derek Carr, and was this the right move for the Saints, man?
Man, I don't know what's the right move for the Saints, man. Ever since Drew Brees gone, that organization has just went down under, man. And Sean Payton too. I mean, yeah, Sean Payton went to the Denver Broncos, and he really didn't show that much promise on what they really thought that he was going to show. Obviously, he has more time, to actually redeem himself right there in Denver. But just the whole quarterback situation in New Orleans, man. Drew Brees was gone, and I felt like they didn't know what to do. They were just like, well, what do we do now? What do we do now? You bring in Jameis Winston, and you think that he's going to do something, but he really does nothing. You bring in Derek Carr that you think that he's a top 5 quarterback for some reason, and you give him a big amount of money and all this, and then he comes in and he doesn't do work, and you're surprised. Nah, I don't know. I don't think why anybody would be surprised. Derek Carr is not that great. Yeah, he had one season that people were trying to give him the MVP status. What was it, like 2017,
Yeah,
2018?
the year he got hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he got hurt after that, and it's just like, yeah, he has one good season, but you gotta have multiple good seasons to be considered a really great quarterback in this league, man. Defenses can read your schemes after 1 year, look at all the tape, and know exactly how you can move, how exactly you can throw, the timing of your throw, how you look at the defense when you're gonna throw to one guy and you're looking at another. Like, I don't know, man. With Derek Carr, it's been so much talk of him showing promise and potential, and it's never seemed to me, it's never seemed to be shown in the light. So I don't know why the Saints thought they were going to bring in Derek Carr and he was going to change their franchise in a positive way. Yeah, he was going to get them some wins, but dude, they finished 9-8. They didn't even make the playoffs. They didn't get inside the playoffs. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what they need to do with their quarterback situation, but they definitely need someone who's actually going to win them games. And I'm not going to say be a leader, because I think Derek Carr can be a leader, but I don't think he's just capable to be consistent enough to be great in this league.
Yeah.
Brandon, I know it's probably hard to talk about other teams in the division. I just had to do it last week. But what's your thoughts on the Saints, man?
No, I mean, George really hit on a lot of the points there. They've just struggled to really have an identity ever since Drew Brees and Sean Payton left. Like, it really goes to show how much they meant to that city and that organization. And like they've been trying, like any organization does after losing a great legend. I think that the way they've went about it has been kind of wrong. Like with the Bucks, they took a risk on a quarterback too, but they didn't pay that quarterback as much as they did Derek Carr. And they didn't tie themselves to a lot of dead cap that is going to struggle. Like, the Saints have one of the worst cap situations in the NFL, not just this past year, but for the last, feels like 5
Every year.
Yeah. They've struggled so much, and their mentality is, we're going to kick the can down the road and just keep restructuring deals. And the Bucks, every team does it. The Bucks do it too. I think the difference is that a lot of the players with the Saints, there's not as much of that camaraderie as they've had in the past, because so many of their legends are leaving. Whereas other teams, they're still pretty fresh. They're still willing to make these sacrifices and these commitments. So I think just all of those things have just really handicapped the Saints and put them in a bind where they can't really sign a lot of big name free agents aside from Tyrann Mathieu. And also too, some of the draft picks that they've had, they haven't really hit on as well. Like, we'll see what happens this year. You've got Talesi Fuaga from Oregon State. You got Kool-Aid McKinstry from Bama. Spencer Rattler was an interesting pickup at quarterback, just in case, maybe some insurance if Derek Carr doesn't pan out. But they've only had a few hits here or there. Chris Olave last year, a couple of years ago, but they've really struggled to really put it all together since Breeze and Peyton have left.
I think real quick, I just make a hot take. I think this year they trade by the deadline they trade Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, I agree.
I can see that happening. Yeah, because his money, he commands a lot of money, if I'm not mistaken. That
Exactly.
contract is not conducive to what he's producing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he's making way too much money.
So this one was kind of interesting here, because I was just looking up for there you go. I was looking over some of the numbers for the Saints, and watching them on TV, they looked pretty bad. But looking at the numbers, and this is where numbers can be really interesting here. If I was listening to some of these numbers here, the Saints were actually 11th in passing yards for as bad as the season as they looked. And Carr that was a surprise to me. They were 9th in the league in scoring. So if you want a fun bar bet, who do you think had more points, scoring average scoring points? The Chiefs, the Bengals, the Texans, or the Saints?
Let's say
It would be the Saints. Yeah. The Saints had more scored more on average than the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Texans.
Does that include? I'm sorry. Does that include field goals, or is it just touchdowns?
Points altogether. 23.8 points per game.
They had a lot of field goals, because I had their kicker on one of my fantasy teams, and he was putting up like at least 9 points every week for me.
Yeah, and so I agree with you guys completely. The Saints look like they were in disarray, but They were ninth in the league in scoring. So when the hell were they scoring? And was I just not watching it enough or what? That one was a real shock to me that they scored more than the Chiefs. If you would ever think that they were scored more than the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs obviously had they played more defensively, a little bit more run the ball. They didn't have to do as much, but I thought that was just really interesting. I do love Chris Olave down there. I think that him and Carr just could never get on the same page. So I think that had a lot to do with the down year for Chris Olave. He didn't have the prolific numbers that everybody was expecting him to have. I kind of feel bad for him and Garrett Wilson, both guys coming out of Ohio State that were just highly, highly touted, and both have all the talent in the world. Just have their careers have just started off relatively slow just by bad quarterback play. But I think if they can get it together on the offensive side with Carr and Olave, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in that division.
For sure.
Yeah.
Coming in third in the division was the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons at 7-10. And to say these guys have gone through some changes would be an understatement. So let's go ahead and get started with these guys. So they fired head coach Arthur Smith and brought back Raheem Morris. They brought in veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins on a massive deal. They signed wide receiver Darnell Mooney, and then they spent their first round pick on one of the top defensive players in the draft at the 8th position, right? That's what happened? Oh, wait, no, sorry, I was misreading that. Sorry, I was misreading that. It was on one of the top tight ends or wide receivers in the draft, right? That's what they did?
Nope.
No, oh my gosh, I am not misreading this. They spent their first round draft pick on Michael Penix Jr., fresh off of signing fresh off of signing Kirk Cousins. What the hell is going on with that? But before we get into this, is there any kind of way that we can shape this that you can say that this actually kind of makes sense of signing of Michael Penix?
No.
They literally just are out Arthur Smith, pretty much.
Yeah.
They didn't Arthur Smith. They Smith Arthur.
See, I'm gonna try and be slightly optimistic here. So I'll take the optimistic approach in here. Is that they might
You're gonna play devil's advocate?
I'll play the devil's advocate because I don't think it. I was shocked that they did it. It didn't make any sense to why they did it, considering the players that they did have available and the needs they had. And especially because if they wanted to grab Michael Penix, they could have done one of two things. They could have not signed Kirk Cousins because they knew they were going to take Michael Penix. But there was a lot of rumblings that he was going to go earlier in the draft, but he fell in that position. But the other thing is that if he wasn't going there, I think Penix would have got to the second round and they could have drafted a first round talent and another player that they needed and got him. But I think what you could play the devil's advocate on is that, let's face it, Kirk Cousins isn't mobile and isn't very young. And on top of it too, he is coming off a catastrophic Achilles injury. So maybe they saw the writing on the wall that if this fails, we do have an adequate backup and he can learn from Kirk Cousins. So maybe in 2 years, Kirk Cousins doesn't look the same anymore. I think Kirk Cousins is 36 or 38 years old. I don't know. I do think that it was a crazy move, but I could also understand in a way what they were trying to do, that yes, they needed other players, but at least you spent that pick on a top echelon player that in the future could be the heir apparent. You don't have to wait around because he's been waiting on him. I'm playing devil's advocate in it. I do think it was a boneheaded decision, but I could also formulate something that says I don't think it was that bad of a deal.
I think the reasoning though behind it though too, like I understand wanting to have an insurance policy, but at the same time, Michael Penix, he's going to be 28 by the time that the Kirk Cousins deal is done, and he's also very injury prone and is in his shoulder. Like he's been banged up. So I know he's Tampa native, Tampa boy, like represent 813. I get it, but as far as like what you need for a young quarterback, I don't know if that would have been the smart move this year to draft him right now. I think maybe you could have literally just waited 1 year or 2 years. Shedeur Sanders is going to be in the draft. Like you could have looked for one of those quarterbacks down the line and been like, okay, maybe halfway through the deal, we'll draft somebody as Kirk's replacement and he can mentor them or something like that. Instead of, okay, now I can't see this pick as anything else but a waste.
Big time.
Yeah, you know what the wild thing is about it too, is that the way the moves they made, they're going in a win now mode. So even still, they're not going to get any good draft picks or anything, out of this later on. So wasting that pick that you had an early round draft pick on a QB after you just signed a QB, that one still, to me, I don't really understand that one. I do like Michael Penix. I've told you guys in the past, that Michael Penix was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. I really liked Michael Penix. I wish he would have went to either the Broncos or possibly like the Seahawks. Something
Raiders.
along yeah, the Raiders. Raiders would have been fantastic for him. I wish he could have went to one of those teams and actually got a chance to use. Now, I would love to see if Atlanta plans on throwing him in the mix a little bit, almost like a Taysom Hill-esque. Throw him in for a gadget play, see what he can do, just so he gets some playing time. Because if Kirk Cousins go down, this is your plan. So this has got to work for you guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try and throw some different gadget plays with them and different stuff. G-Mike, what else do you think of the Falcons? So they had a hell of an offseason. They signed a lot of players. They spent a lot of money. Do you think this is going to pan out?
If Kirk Cousins stays healthy, it can pan out. Just talking about the pick, though, like, no matter how you look at it, Atlanta Falcons, it was a bonehead move, man. Wasting the first pick like that. Your offense has crazy firepower at the running back position, at the wide receiver position, at the tight end position, where Kyle Pitts can play wide receiver 1 if you really wanted to. Your offensive line is really good. So you bring in a quarterback that's had his best year in 7 games that he's had in forever. Yes, he goes down. He has a crazy injury and an injury that people think that he might not come back from. Other people think that he will. We'll see what happens. If you're so worried about that, why give him that massive contract that you gave him?
Yeah.
But you did. You gave him the massive contract. Okay, cool. You take that risk. A lot of millionaires and billionaires out here have taken huge risks in their lives, and some have panned out and some have not. That's the way that life goes. You take that risk, right? So you run with it. You double down, and with your first pick, you get a great defensive player for your defense to make them even better. Because last year they were great. The thing is that they couldn't keep up because they had no quarterback to score points. So the defense had to be on the field twice as longer as twice as much effort as they needed to be. So you don't use that pick on a defensive player and you use it on a backup quarterback in the first round, bro. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
The wild thing is that from all analysts that was out there was saying they needed defensive players, but all of the top defensive players were still available, including the number 1 pass rusher, even the number 2 pass rusher, if you want to argue about that. They were both available at that spot.
The first 5 picks in the draft were offensive players.
Right.
Bro, there was at least 4 players coming out of Georgia that they could have gotten.
Yeah.
Well, Latu, Dallas Turner, like they're the 2 biggest names that they could have won pass rush. And that was the biggest problem that Atlanta had last year was pass rush. And I know they got
and they lost Calais Campbell. He's out of there.
Yeah. And I know that they've got Ruke Ororo and they've got Brandon Dorless, to kind of those rookies to kind of solidify that. But that's more from an interior lineman position, not from the edge rusher spot. So it's gonna be it's a bold strategy. Let's see.
And even with that, bro, defensive line, they be shifting all the time. They be coming in and out. Backup defensive linemen play a lot of games, a lot of minutes in these games. If you really watch football, you'll see that a lot of defensive line gets subbed in and subbed out. Why? Because you're playing in the trenches. You're going up against dudes on the O-line that are 350 pounds or more. Strong as hell, fat as hell, stopping you. You're using all your force, all your stamina, all your endurance, all your power to try to just get to the running back or to the quarterback in literally a split second. So you're going to be tired. You're going to get off the field. So they got to bring in some defensive players. And you're telling me that you used a first round pick on a quarterback after you signed the quarterback for 5 years and 300 something million? Come on, man. I would have done better in a franchise mode in Madden than that shit, bro.
All of us would have with that. And
honestly, I think Madden would have rejected the trade or rejected the, they rejected the pick.
No,
you can't do that.
I sent you a message on the side on the pop-up on the right side of the screen. You're an idiot.
Denied.
You're an idiot.
It's like those video games that says choose again.
Yeah. Type shit.
Yeah, honestly, the Falcons, I think offseason can be summed up best with the GM and the owner, Arthur Blank, having to have a conversation explaining why Michael Penix.
The GM was surprised.
Yeah,
Or
like
the
they
owner was surprised. One of
yeah,
them, one of
he
them was
was
surprised.
surprised, and then the GM had to explain to him
Exactly.
why they made the pick. Like, no, no,
On a
this is
live
great.
press conference.
Yeah. Harry Fontenot is the name. Yeah, having to explain to Arthur Blank, no, 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 this is a genius play.
And
Trust
he's
me. He's
there
like,
like,
Huh?
he's looking. I'm like, dude, you got 1 or 2 seasons to turn this around, and if we're not in the playoffs, you're gone.
I just signed this
Well,
guy
I
to a
think
massive contract, literally like giving him my whole bag that I have in my house, and you're telling me that we selected another quarterback?
Yep.
yeah,
Again,
and you know what I think the other thing with the Falcons as well. I mean, it wasn't all about the pick was one of the major storylines in the offseason for him, but I think Arthur Smith himself, I think that was a great move for them to get rid of Arthur Smith. He just
oh
did
yeah,
not
Yeah,
work out in
100%,
Atlanta
100%.
at
Yeah,
all. You guys, they drafted Bijan Robinson, one of the most electric players coming out of college, one of the most electric players in the league. He had 214 carries, which was 19th in the league. He had 976 rushing yards for 15th in the league. 4 touchdowns, 4 damn touchdowns, and he was
yeah.
tied for 35th in the league and at rushing, at running. That is insane whenever you have that talented of a player, that fast of a player, and that shifty of a player. 4 damn touchdowns. That's unheard of, and that cannot happen with this new staff. If he
No,
doesn't have double-digit touchdowns, either receiving and rushing, you gotta go.
yeah, you have such a great young core of weapons, like you said, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake.
Thank God they finally got a quarterback to get Kyle Pitts the damn ball, though, man.
bro,
Like, that has got to be the most depressing thing to watch Kyle Pitts just run down the field and have to do 360 circus catches every single time.
I knew not to draft him last year, man. I knew not to.
I can't wait to see Kyle Pitts finally have a competent person throwing in the ball.
If he wants that, if they all want competence, come to team. Like, I'll take Bijan, I'll take Kyle Pitts, I'll take Drake. We'll take them all. We'll take
Dude,
all
that
of them.
offense is gonna be crazy, man. The offense is gonna be crazy.
So what's you guys' thoughts on Drake London? Drake London is their de facto number one wide receiver. He had a breakout year last year, probably his best year. You know, I mean, he was a rookie last year, so I mean, obviously his best year of his career. He's only had one, but
He was a rookie last year.
Sophomore year. Excuse me. Yeah. But anyways, having said that, though, what do you think of Drake London? Is he a true number one, or is he just like what's your thoughts on him? I can't quite figure it out.
I mean, it's hard to say when they didn't really have a quarterback to really throw him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you could go the positive route that he had Desmond Ridder and Tyler Heineke throwing him, and he had those kind of numbers. So now that he has Kirk Cousins coming in there, say what you want about Kirk Cousins, but he can still sling the rock, man.
Dude, bro, he was having the best year of his life until he tore his ACL. Like,
his Achilles.
And
his Achilles. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Drake London, to me, like he's got the body of a wide receiver one. He's 6'4", 215, just a solid athlete, great hands. Like
vertical, like 45.
Yeah, like he's got all the makings of a number one receiver. Now it's just like you said, he needs that great quarterback that can help him put it together. And I think as far as like NFC South wide receivers outside the Bucks, he's my number one like option to be like be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they also got, speaking of they got rid of Jonnu Smith as well, and that was another thing about Arthur Smith that didn't make any damn sense. You have Kyle Pitts, 23 years old, I believe he is, 6'6", 250, just probably has 0% body fat. That guy is just an absolute unit out there, and you're throwing it to Jonnu Smith. You're not even getting this guy the ball in here, or you're gonna let Cordell Patterson get more touchdowns. And what's the other one? The other backup they have for running back, they got more touches. What was it?
Tyler Algier.
Exactly. Tyler Algier is fighting is legitimately taking snaps from Bijan Robinson. What the hell is going on in that team over there? So
I could have been a coach.
It's going to be a major change and a major fresh start for the Falcons. And that'll be interesting to see how this all plays out in year one. We got one more team left in the division, and that is the Carolina Panthers. And man, the Panthers were in just disarray. They went 2-15 this year. Or last year, excuse me. They drafted Xavier Legette. I do like Jonathan Brooks as their second round draft pick. As we said before, they did get Dan Canales from the Bucks as their new head coach. Brandon, I know a divisional game in here too, but like, do you have any kind of hope for the Panthers, or like where are they at right now?
I mean, they're in rebuild. It's full on rebuild, but I would say as far as drafting goes, they probably had the second best draft in the division. I would say getting Legette, who can be like that wide receiver one for Bryce Young because they were relying on like old man Thielen last year. It's
Yep.
terrible. Jonathan Brooks, you can have
Mingo.
it.
Yeah, they got Jonathan Mingo there too, who never did nothing.
Yeah, and you've got Brooks now as your RB1. I think that's a great pick. You got Jatavion Sanders at tight end for a bargain in the 4th round. I think he's going to be another great weapon for Bryce Young to go to. So, it's one of those things like Panthers fans, you're not going to really see the team like make the playoffs this year. But again, it's rebuilding. It's a rebuild. You've got a new coach now. You've got, your young quarterback. You got him some weapons now on offense. And again, Canales, for all of his flaws and stuff like that, I pointed out in the first part of the South breakdown, he did adapt, he did adjust, he became more fluid as a coach. But again, he still has some things he's got to work on. He's got to adapt and adjust when your team like he is still struggles at times with sticking to the game plan instead of adapting on the fly. If he can do that right out of the gate and be very flexible, be very fluid, let his players run the system, not the system run the players, I think you'll see big steps from him and you'll see some big steps from the Panthers. Not enough to make the playoffs, but have some hope.
G Mike, man,
Man,
this team is something, man. I don't know. What do you think of them?
I think this team is gonna be in rebuild mode for the next 3 to 5 years, man. I don't know, man. They can't seem to catch a break in anything, really. I mean, they lost one of their best linebackers, Brian Burns. He went to
Yep.
our divisional rival, New York Giants, and it sucks to see him go over there because he's a great athlete. To me, he's one of the strongest hitters in the NFL. He's very aggressive and he's very intelligent. Losing him on the defensive side, like it really hurts them. And then on the offensive side, man, like I thought there was going to be a lot of promise for Bryce Young. I think he's a very intelligent kid, but dude is pretty short. He can't see over the line, and you're not even getting him weapons, man. Like you don't even know who your RB1 is. You don't know who your wide receiver 1 is. Like, dude, it's just, bro, it's a whole lot of mess up over there, man. I do not see them being in close to playoff contention again for another 3 to 5 years, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, they're the Panthers are in such rebuild mode that they need to go talk to Arthur Blank, considering that he owns Home Depot. They need a lot of help with some rebuilding for him. So they Bryce Young, I think, is going to benefit from having Canales. Canales has a reputation of being like a quarterback guy. If you see Geno Smith went from being a quote unquote, back up and out of the league to whenever his year with Canales had his best year, got that contract. Baker Mayfield went from kind of being a journeyman guy to getting another contract as well. He kind of turned his career around a little bit with him too. So I do think that he's a good hire for young. I like Bryce Young. I think he has promise, and I think that he's intelligent enough that he could figure it out. It's just they have so many things that are wrong. And let's not even mention the owner. The owner constantly is making crazy, rash decisions and causing problems for his team. I
Yeah.
mean, how the hell is your owner going to be yelling at a store owner for telling him to making a sign disrespecting him, and he talks crap about his hat? Did you guys see that interview, that video online? Did you guys see
I
that?
think I did. I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the guy is just off the chain and not the cool way, really. He's just off the chain, man. He makes no sense and he's too rash and he shouldn't probably be the owner to begin with. I'm waiting for the fans to start calling for him to sell it if they already haven't, but they've just
Yeah.
been in turmoil for a really long time. And I just don't see it's going to get any better in the next couple of years. But
Yeah, sure. But I mean, again, I think that at least, we talked about like their RB1, wide receiver ones. I think they do have them. You got Brooks, you've got Leggett.
I mean, they still do have Miles Sanders too. I mean, he'd had a completely off year, but the whole team had an off year too.
Trash.
But
Yeah. So, and you've got
Trash.
as well Sanders at tight end. So they've got their future. The problem is that future is going to be much, much farther down the line.
yeah, I think so, man. I think we can stop beating up on the Panthers for a little bit in this one. I think we all agree that they're not going to be very good. So
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and wrap this up with our predictions of the NFC South. G Mike, who you taking to win the division?
I got the Atlanta Falcons. I think just bringing in Kirk Cousins is gonna change the game for them if he stays healthy. Now, if he doesn't stay healthy, I would say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think it's gonna be neck and neck. I don't think the Falcons are gonna have that many more games won over the Buccaneers, but I think they're gonna probably win 2, 3 more. That's gonna clinch their playoff spot, and it's just gonna take them to the playoff promised land.
Playoff promised land. I like it. So your G Mike, you're taking the Falcons. Brandon, I'm not sure if we even have to ask, but who you taking?
Oh, I got the Bucks. I'll make a slightly bold prediction. I got us getting at least 10 wins this year. And as far as the Falcons go, like even if Kirk Cousins is healthy, we all forget he chokes in prime time. So, I think that he'll put up some decent numbers, but I don't think when it comes down to actually winning ball games, it's going to do a thing. So.
Yeah, this one was kind of tough. I am making a bold statement and going the Carolina Panthers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm being serious.
Rebuild.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think that they're I agree with what you're saying, Brandon, on that one about Kirk Cousins. He had a hell of a year last year, and he has a damn good team. But for some reason, it seems like it kind of chokes. I think that the Falcons probably will go further in the playoffs than I think. I think both teams will make the playoffs, but I think the Falcons go a little bit further. But I do think the Bucks will win the division. So we got G Mike. You're taking the Falcons.
The Falcons. Yep.
Brandon, you are taking the Bucks. And
Yeah.
I'm taking the Bucks as well. All right, guys. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us for another episode of Views from the Stands. It's been a blast doing this with you guys. We'll be back next week. We'll be breaking down the next division. Where do you guys want to head up next? You guys want to head to AFC East?
You can do AFC East, a little Miami
We're heading up to
Dolphin
the
action.
AFC East next. We're going to head up to the AFC East next. And please believe we'll be talking about all the news and everything that happens. So be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you guys next week.
Real quick. Don't we got a live show coming up, maybe in a few episodes, maybe next episode or a few episodes. We're going to have a live show coming up. So you could tune in, write in the chat, ask some questions.
Absolutely.
We'll put your questions on the show. We'll interact with you. We'll talk about some conversations that you guys want to start up. But yeah, we're pretty excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That live show is gonna be a big deal for us, and we're hoping that everybody can that's listening out there, and anybody that wants to listen can attend and check us out and experience this with us.
Yeah, man. Whether you love it, whether you love the takes, whether you hate the takes, you think we're trash, hey, watch it. Let us
Say
know
it in the comments, baby. Let me know I'm
100%,
trash.
Love it. We live off the bit.
We're
Like,
making this ending a little long, but it is an actual fact here. Is we don't know how to improve on what we're doing unless you give us some advice on what you like and what you don't like. So feel free to let us know. Don't just view it, like it, comment. We need the experience out there from you guys. So we want the interaction because we want to give you guys what you guys like. So we are making this the actual ending. So we will talk to you guys soon, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Bye.